strategic move that Eddie is making for AJ? Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for kind of animal?
If that was years and years and years ago. Like, Clarissa is a way different fighter from when she was back in.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RoundTable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, D-Style, you mentioned him versus Regis Program. I'd love that. Sounds like a
old. I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then
that would say, what do you mean by acting black? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows.
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now, and he ain't gonna fight. I bet you anything, he's not gonna fight somebody as good as John Wright. Thanks to those joining me live, and those that will join me here on the archive. This is D-Style. I hope everyone's having a great Thursday afternoon. It's the 192nd edition of the Round Table. I'm joined by Joe B from Ringside Reporter. Make sure you check out him and his host every Sunday here on this channel. Make sure you check out the Round Table next week on my channel, D-Style Boxing. Of course, we have Lyndon from Boxing Deep Dive. Make sure you check him out over there from Down Under. If you're ever awake at 3 in the morning or something, you can check them out live. You know what I mean? If you're stateside. Base the Kid, the hardcore casual, joining us as well. He's not really a casual, but that's what he calls himself. It's all good. Check out his content. Dave Shoeshine Boxing here. Check out a show with Drew Evil every Monday. And, of course, Crystal, the one and the only. Check her out on Wednesdays on Women Crushing It Wednesday with Christine and Nika. Let's go ahead and get this show on the road. So we're supposed to be talking about a Janabek fight, but Janabek didn't fight. He was hospitalized, so kind of very similar to what happened to Virgil Ortiz a couple of months back, or last year, I should say. His middleweight title defense got canceled. And he passed out and everything. He went to the hospital. Mikolevich, I believe that's how you pronounce it, had no opponent, no fight. So what should happen from here? I mean, should he be stripped? Should it be like, I know that they're trying to, that one of the sanctioning bodies asking for proof that he's sick, but should that even matter at this point? And what should be next for Janabek? Should he move up or stick around? What do you think, babe?
Definitely should move up. And this sounds kind of harsh, right? Because if he were to be injured or if it was a sickness, then obviously they wouldn't strip him. But I don't want to say this is negligence, but I think when you enter a camp and you're trying to make weight and you don't make weight and you don't even really make it to the scale. I mean, it was so close to the weigh-in, like the week of the fight. If it was me, quite honestly, as a sanctioning body, I would say to myself, you know what? This kid couldn't make weight and probably shouldn't be fighting at this weight class for the not only for the safety of him, but in fairness to his opponent. I would have stripped him. Vacate the titles. This gentleman was the mandatory, so let him fight someone else for the titles. That's what I would have done.
All right, Lyndon, what are your thoughts on this, and what do you think he should do next?
Well, I was pretty vocal about this on my channel. I'm with Beebs. I think it might be harsh on the guy, but look, I 100% think he should be stripped. Look, maybe even fined, or maybe that might be a bit harsh. But look, what you've got to look at, I know on the surface, the guy just, he had I wouldn't call it a medical episode. I mean, he's trying to cut weight, got his cut wrong, and ended up in hospital. For me, totally self-inflicted. This is not someone that's gotten sick on the eve of the fight or gotten injured or whatever it might be. This is a guy who signed the contract in good faith the day before the weigh-in, I think it was, and has done the cut, has got it wrong, has had to pull out, and now we've got a guy who's flown from the other side of the world, who's done everything right, who's paid all his camp expenses, and done absolutely everything that was expected of him for this fight. and he's left with nothing. And I'm not sure whether there's been anything mentioned about an immediate rematch or anything like that. I think the guys has been sent home and been told, well, we'll call you, don't call us. And I just think it's wrong. And again, I said on my channel, there's been so much put on the concussions and head injuries and all that sort of stuff. Well, maybe there needs to be a little bit more said about this, where we have fighters who are just trying to cut too much weight, putting themselves in physical danger, and also endangering events and affecting other fighters' livelihoods as well. So I think he should be 100% stripped, and to the point where he should be told that he has to go to 168 and doesn't have a choice in the matter.
All right. Okay. Basic Kid, how do you feel about the situation? What do you think? Do you agree that Janabek should move up at this point?
So was Mikhailovich the actual mandatory, or was this a voluntary shot?
I think it was voluntary, wasn't it?
All right, so if it's a voluntary, no, I don't think he should be stripped because he didn't have to give him the shot to begin with. I will say it's a bit bad in the sense that, look, the guy's come, as you said, halfway around the world, totally different time zone, all that good stuff, got himself prepared, and he didn't, and he doesn't get to fight. I don't know what they've done in terms of enumerations, but because he didn't hit the scales, technically the fight never took place. Or it wasn't even agreed at that point because they didn't hit the scales. So with that, unfortunately, no, he shouldn't be stripped. Should he move up? Maybe, but I don't know if this was necessarily just a case of this was a very bad weight cut, or they said it was severe dehydration. Maybe something happened in the camp which got him ill towards the late part. We don't know because he hasn't sent the medical reports in yet. But with sense that he said he's gonna get a nutritionist in so that he'll start doing weight earlier in his camps rather than when he's been doing it. They'll reschedule the fight. I'm sure that they'll probably give Mikhailovich a nice little buffer on top to sort of make up for this particular episode. But yeah, if he can make the weight comfortable, he still believes he can, then I'd leave him to it. But obviously, if it is a case of it's just detrimental, then yeah, move up. That's my thoughts.
You don't think he should be fine?
Fine for what? I mean, at the end of the day, the only way that, to me, that happens is if you're on the scales and you miss weight. Like, they didn't get to the scales, so the fight never took place. Like, so I don't see you fining for that personally, but that's my opinion.
Okay. Dave, what do you think should happen here? Should he be stripped or not? And what should you like to see next from Janabek?
Sure, man. I was personally affected that weekend because I had tickets to that fight, and I got to give kudos to Bob Arum and the folks over at Top Rank because I saw they had posted, listen, if anybody wants a full refund, you can go ahead and ask for one. You were given, I believe, until Friday at 12:30, which I think was great. But you guys know, if you guys watched the card on ESPN, I was there to see Ruben Villa of Salinas, California, Northern Bay Area guy that I've been following his career, and it went awful. And Ruben brought a bunch of people, hundreds of people actually, to the fight. So it seems like nobody asked for that refund, but things didn't pan out the way. It was a major step back in that featherweight's career. But on to Janabek, man. I was talking with my co-host. He's like, I thought he made the scale. I'm like, no, he did not make the scale. He pulled out on Thursday. They volunteered himself to the emergency room in Las Vegas, where I live. And to me, it just is screamed, hey, this guy's got to be 10 pounds. He's got to be way off on Thursday. He's got to be about 10 pounds away from the scales. You know, something was up. And I think they used that, you asking about a fine. I don't think it's appropriate to fine him, but I was very pleased to see that the WBO wants an investigation and they want certain medical information to be provided. And some of that might be just to see how far away he was from actually making weight on Friday, because I think his intent was to, I think that the team knew he was going to miss wildly on the scales on Friday morning. And that's exactly why they volunteered him into the hospital to claim dehydration. So they would keep the title. So if they, there should be an investigation. If they did that intentionally and they were way off the mark and the hospital's going to have his weight, obviously, then maybe he should be stripped. If anything, I would demand that he fight the guy in 90 days, that he fight the same guy on a Top Rank card within 90 days. And if you don't make it on the scale, obviously then it's absolutely time to strip him of his middleweight title. What would I like to see him do next? I'd like to see him fight that guy and honor that fight. He went into camp. He came all the way from Australia, went to Las Vegas. I mean, I feel bad for him. He deserves his payday, and he deserves his shot at the middleweight title.
Okay. Crystal, how you doing? And what did you make of the Janabek situation? And do you think he should move up?
So first of all, the team, I don't know if it was the team or just a media report that he actually passed out or fainted, right? So clearly there's something that happened here to make them think that he was dehydrated. Wishfully is not true what Mr. Dave say, that they are just taking him because they know that he is off weight. But we know there's tactics. We know that these things happen. I get it. To me, the opponent is who it is about at this point. Yeah, they need to strip him. They need to make those belts vacant. And if he want one, then he fight for them again.
Okay. And do you think it's best for him to move up at this point, given what happened?
More than likely, yes. But it is difficult to say. Was it a rare camp? I don't know what happened in the camp. So I don't wish to, like they say, well, shall he retire when they ask about a boxer? I can't retire a boxer. I don't want to say you have to change weight classes, but sometimes it is necessary. And perhaps typically the team would be looking at that already, right? So who knows? Whatever they want.
Yeah, I don't know if this is already an existing practice or if it just depends per contract or whatnot. But if I'm a B-side fighter and I'm going to go fight someone from a major promotional company and I got to fly across the world, I mean, I think it would be a good idea for promoters to be required, right, to put some type of deposit in place. So in case something like this happens, the fighter's, camp is paid for, his time is paid for, and it doesn't make up for the fight. You're not going to get paid like a fight purse either, but there should be something like that in place, in my opinion, right? But, it's whatever. But I do agree with what Crystal said. It's hard to say if we should, tell him to move up or not. This could have been a medical episode that's unique. Maybe he had an illness and it was just unique to the situation, but we need proof of that. I believe anyway. The WBO is asking for proof of that. And if that's the case, then I understand. But this is a case similar kind of to the Virgil Ortiz situation, although Virgil had a medical issue as well that they were denying for a while, by the way. It begs the question, like, is it even healthy for this guy to stick around like this, right? And if you're top ranked, do you even want to risk another card like this, him headline another card, and then you got to cancel the whole thing all over again? So those are conversations I'm positive Top Rank's going to have with Janabek's team and Janabek himself, and they'll figure that out. Okay. I want to talk about.
Sorry, D-Star. Can I point out, you guys know I live in Las Vegas now. I just want to point out for reference, last Wednesday and Thursday were the hottest recorded days in Las Vegas history. Something on Thursday, the day that he admitted himself to the hospital, was around 117 degrees. So I did kind of wonder, did that exacerbate the situation of cutting weight? Were they still running in Las Vegas Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, with it being a record 115, 116, 117 across that week?
Well, that's very, very hot for sure. I know it was like 110 in El Paso.
Yeah, and it doesn't cool down.
I know.
Yeah.
So but I do know this. When I was indoors, I was fine. So I don't, to answer your question, I have no idea that had anything to do with it. But I will say I doubt it though. I think they were probably indoors, but who knows? I mean, but it's a good question. All right. Boots Ennis in Philadelphia, the largest fight crowd in Philadelphia since Hagler fought there. Okay, back in the 70s. Unbelievable. Over 14,000 showed up. And it makes you wonder, this is Eddie Hearn's first go with Boots, right? It's the first time he promotes Boots, gets him in his hometown, gets him in a big crowd, right? An energetic crowd, which is different than a Vegas crowd. I saw the kind of packed there just at least an hour before the event. And I thought it was good to see. I felt good for Boots. It was good to see him have some type of homecoming after being buried on PBC undercards and in Indian casinos and stuff like that. It didn't make any sense to me. Makes you wonder, like 5 years ago, that they could have put Boots in there with Danny Garcia, And so, like, you know what I mean? They could have done that fight a while back. They could have done a doubleheader with Fulton and Boots years ago, but they didn't do it. I don't understand. This is historically a fight town, and I think it proved it. And I think after the success of this event, we might see more fight cards back in Philadelphia once again. Dave, what you think of Boots' performance, and what would you like to see next from him here?
Hey, I had to watch that fight Sunday morning, but I'm so happy for not only Drew but all the Philly fight fans that haven't had someone to rally for in a long time. For Matchroom, I think it was the pickup of the century. Just tremendous timing for them to pick him up. And to be honest, Boots Ennis was penalized because he really did not ever sign a contractual agreement to have Al Heyman as his advisor, which all the stars at PBC that have Al as that advisor role, and then pay him that extra fee, they weren't set back like Boots Ennis was. You're absolutely right. They missed out on a bunch of tremendous fight opportunities at 147 with Boots Ennis. So it's like it's beginning to pan out that this is going to be the era of Boots Ennis at welterweight, and I want to see him unify titles, and I want to see him actually try to become undisputed like Terrence Bud Crawford did, and then we can start talking about that at 154. Then he can move up. Yeah, actually, my only complaint was he does get hit too much. I saw that in the Roymon Villa fight too. But like, he just doesn't need to respect too many welterweights' power, because it's not like, I also have to say he doesn't have to respect too many of their power, because what he's throwing back is just so much harder. So he makes he makes for an exciting fighter, and I like it.
100%. Lyndon, what you think of Boots' performance, and what would you personally like to see next from him? Do you agree with Dave? Stay at 147 or move up?
Look, it was a workmanlike performance. I think he did everything that he needed to do. The opponent, Avanesyan, always pronounce it wrong, but I'm sure that's around the mark anyway. Look, it wasn't much to beat. I think, there's a lot of talk about whether we would try and outdo Crawford and all that sort of stuff. I think Ennis just did what he had to do, got the job done. As for going forward, I would actually like him to go to 154. I know he can probably make 147 comfortably, but I'm just not sure there's a lot there for him. Maybe there's Conor Ben, maybe Ryan Garcia in a year's time. Who knows? Maybe Devin Haney moves up. You just don't know. But they're not really mouth-watering fights for me. I would like him to go up and enter the 154-pound sweepstakes. There's so many big fights up there with him. He has called out Crawford, of course. That seems to be the fight that he wants. Crawford's now at 154. So that's what you want to do. Go to 154, but I'm sure we'll get to it soon. You've now got Tim Tszyu back in action. Of course, we've got Ortiz and Madrimov, Crawford, all these guys that are back in action. Of course, Spence and Fundora. So what an exciting division that would be with the addition of Boots Ennis. So not quite sure how difficult it is for him to make weight. He's a pretty big 147-pounder, so I think he could carry the weight okay. But I would like him to say, okay, if I'm going to dare to be great, let's go to 154 and jump into the mix with Crawford, Spence, Tszyu, Ortiz, Fundora, all the big boys at 154.
Okay. Base, what you think of his performance, and what would you like to see next from Boots?
Thought the performance was decent, not one of his better ones, but I give him some grace because he'd been out of the ring for just over a year at that point. My issue wasn't necessarily that he got hit too much, because I can understand, obviously, you get into the pocket or you get anywhere, close to your opponent and sit on the chest, you accept that you might take some shots. My issue is that he was getting hit while being distracted. He kept looking either out of the ring or towards the referee, not keeping his eyes on his opponent. And every time he turned away is when he was getting hit as well. That was my concern. So, because you're not even bracing for the shots at that point. So if that happens, obviously against a higher grade of opponent than David Avanesyan, then you're in trouble. So that's the only thing, the only major criticism I had. In terms of how the fight played out, I mean, I expected it. I called it that it would end in the 5th round, and he would the whole aim would be to say that he did it better than Crawford did, which ironically is he got him out of there quicker, but he didn't do it better, because Crawford didn't get hit nearly as much, and he left Avanesyan in the recovery position on the floor, whereas, he got stopped on his stool. Bit different. In terms of what I want him to do next, to be honest, I want him to do whatever he feels comfortable doing. If he still feels that he can make 147 comfortably and be there for at least another year and a half, with Eddie promising that he's gonna, he wants to keep him active, then do what you can to try and clean up as many belts as you can to say, unified. Try to get undisputed if you can, and then move up, because inevitably he's probably gonna end his career at 168. He is a very big guy, and he looked about 2 to 3 weight classes bigger than Avanesyan in the ring anyway on the night. But yeah, that's what I think he should do. Listen to himself, listen to his body, and if he can make 147, then stay there. But if he's finding it difficult, no point trying to squeeze down. You might as well go to 154, where it's about to become a bit of a glamour division. I would suggest staying away from Crawford though, because he's not ready for that. And as much as everyone thinks, oh, he was calling out Crawford before, he wasn't. He was taking IBF eliminators when Crawford held a WBO title. That doesn't signify that you want to fight him, really and truly. But he is one of my favorite fighters at the moment. I like him, so I'm quite happy to see what he does next. That's my opinion.
All right, Hamza Azib with the super sticker, with the epic fail super sticker, man. But nonetheless, we appreciate it. Jabib Boots, what you think of his performance, and what should he do next?
One of my criticisms of Boots in the past, in some of his fights, I thought he didn't really show like grit on the inside. Like he would tie his opponent up and look over the referee to break the clinch. And a lot of times I thought on the inside, when he got close, he would accept the clinch. In this fight, I thought he showed a little bit of grit and toughness. I thought he was grinding it out on the inside. He was, working his way out of the clinch. And at times he would free up one hand and grab with the other hand and kind of control Avanesyan and punch with the free hand. So I thought he showed that, and I was impressed with that, because there were times in other fights where he just didn't look particularly effective up close. He seems more comfortable on the outside or in the mid-range area. This fight, he made a concerted effort to try to make this fight fan-friendly for the fans, right? And I think he achieved that, right? And as Bay said, sometimes when you get close and you exchange, you're going to get caught a few times. But I do think as the fight wore on, I thought he was getting hit less. As Base also said, he was a little bit rusty. And I think once he knocked the dust off a little bit, you started seeing him become more successful in rounds like 4 and 5 in particularly. So I did like the fact that he put on a show for his hometown fans, because as we said before, sometimes those hometown fights could be a banana skin. And in this case, that was total opposite. He really did, light it up on Saturday. And I thought it was a very impressive performance. And given that he was off for a while, this was something that I think he needed to bring the attention back on him. And that crowd was electric. There was a lot of people there. I don't think it could have gone any better.
All right, Crystal, what you think of Boots Ennis' performance in Philadelphia, and what would you personally like to see next?
Yes, so I think Boots do exactly what we expect him to do on Saturday. He do bring in a crowd. I was very pleased with that. I was not at the fight myself, but clearly from hearing from the social media platforms, there was definitely an electric crowd, as Joe say. I think that is wonderful for the Philadelphia folk. I really do. I think that is wonderful. And Boots put on a show. He truly entertained the fans. And by stopping him in the 5th round, yeah, there's a lot of folk who are very encouraging him to see that Crawford fight. I don't know. Is he still comfortable making that 147, or is he wanting to move up to the 154? I'm not sure. Either way, I have to agree with Mr. Bass. I don't think he is ready for a Crawford fight. And if I was his business management, I would not encourage him to do that. I would encourage him to do as the other lads say, go for undisputed at 147. But will he make enough noise at 147 to get the fight at 154? Will Crawford truly still be in the 154 if he do wait for him? So there's a lot here to consider and to think about, to contemplate if you are the management team for Boots. I think he do miss some opportunities because he don't sign the Al Heyman contract. And from here forward, he have to make some sound and rather timely, right? Some decisions. So for me, I think if he want to make a noise in the boxing world, truly he have make a noise at this point. He have to go to 154, get in there and make the fight for Crawford make sense. At this point, to me, it don't make sense. But if he wanted, he have to go for it. He turned it down years ago in the 147 already, right? So if he wanted at 154, he have to prove to the world that he deserve it at this point.
Okay. Calix, if you want to reiterate how you feel about Boots' performance and any thoughts on where you think he should, what if it was up to you, what would he do next year?
It was a success in every way. 14,000 plus, economically a good showing for him. Offensively, a good showing for him. Coming off the Shakur performance the weekend before, people are thirsting for entertainment, and he gave us that. I like offensive-minded fighters who sacrifice defense. He's capable of fighting defensively, more defensively minded. He sacrificed that to get Avanesyan out of there. That was the goal coming in. Is we know the triangle theory doesn't work, but he wanted to stop Avanesyan before Bud did. He stated that. I want to stop Avanesyan before Bud did. He was successful in that. He stopped Avanesyan around before Bud did. So in every way, a success for Boots. This is the pushback that I would have for everybody is people keep saying Boots isn't ready for Bud. Can somebody name a fighter who's ready for Bud if Boots isn't? Can somebody name one? Because I keep hearing this every time somebody is brought up for Bud, it's he's not ready for Bud. He's not ready for Bud. He's not. So I mean, everybody's gone to this place where Bud just walks on water, and nobody can grace the ring with Bud anymore. I've been a Bud fan for 12 years, but I feel like these new age Bud fans are they're acting like this guy is invincible, will destroy anybody. And that could be the case, but who's ready for him? Like, I don't understand. Like, Boots isn't ready for him. So, all right, what do we do? What do we do with this? So, to me, he moves up to 154. He hasn't built up the equity to just stick around at 147 and wait for fights to develop. He's an 8-year pro, for the love of God. He's an 8-year pro. Before we know it, he'll be 32. He's 27. So, he doesn't have time to wait around at 147 for things to develop. So, the move is 154. And go straight for the fight. If Bud calls your name, get in there, let's fight, and it'll be a great fight. And that's the best fight in around 154. It's the best one. The only other one out there would be Virgil, but we don't even know what Virgil looks like at 154. He's never fought at 154 yet. He's been fighting at 156, 157. We don't know what he looks like at 154. Tim Tszyu just is coming off a loss, so there is no other fight around there. All right, so that's the fight. That's the one.
Well, I'll say this. Boots is 27 years old. Bud is what, 36, 37?
37.
He's 37 years old. Bud is a year older than Floyd was when Floyd fought Canelo, and Canelo was 23.
Yep.
Right? Look how Teofimo was when he fought Lomachenko. Look, like, either you're good enough to beat Bud or you're not. I don't know if this is the way I feel about it. And I go back to the old saying, the gods envy us because we're mortal, because any moment may be our last. We don't got time to wait. To me, it's a good fight to make. If he has no shot against Bud, then nobody has a shot against Bud, I guess. But I actually disagree. And I actually think Boots has an excellent chance against Bud. And I know that's blasphemy for a lot of people. Don't get me wrong, I would favor Bud in the fight. But I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Bud wins that fight. But Bud's going to have to deal with that speed. And guess what? Boots is younger. I believe he's bigger and just as strong, maybe even stronger than Bud, right? And that's a reality Bud's going to have to fight. That's going to be a young lion he's going to have to fight there. And we never seen Boots have to dig deep in a fight. Maybe he has it in him, maybe he does. We don't know yet. We don't know what the next gear the Boots is because he hasn't had to use it yet. We just don't. So to me, I'm all for it. Like, I'll take it a step further. I think Bud fans like to say things that he don't got a shot because they don't want to see Boots. I think they don't want to see that fight. Bud fans act a little differently when it comes to Boots than everybody else, right? Everybody, like, we would favor Bud against everybody, but when it comes to Boots, for what? He'll beat him anyway. Okay, then let's do it then. Let's see what happens when this young kid, right, 27 years old, in his prime, hungry, apparently with nothing to lose, faces a much older Bud who will be probably 38 by the time that fight happens. Let's see what happens, is what I say.
What if it's a career-ending fight, though? I don't want to see that happen. I want to see more Boots than one fight, right?
Whoa, what's with the gloom and doom? Career ending. Career ending. Please.
Well, that's the sport we watch, right? Like that's the reality of boxing. If Boots wants to fight him, right, and Bud's willing to do it, like it might sound brutal, but if it is a career-ending fight, then it's a career-ending fight. I mean, but what if it isn't? What if he beats Bud and it's a big legacy win for him? What if he just loses? But what if he loses? But it's kind of like Canelo when he lost to Floyd. It's a great learning experience for him, and he grows from it, right? Like, I just think there's a lot of ways to look at it.
I can accept that one. Yeah, if he learned from it, he grow from it, and he continue to get better, that would be wonderful. But I don't want it to be a beatdown, similar to the last year of a fighter. I don't think Boots is actually in the same state as Spence. I don't want to compare them at all because I think Boots' caliber is higher, right? He has more self-discipline. However, I would not want it to be a career-defining fight for him either. So, but you're right. How will he know if he don't put his risk out there? Good point.
100%. That's 100%. Right. Now look, we have more to touch on. Okay. Now look. I like Monster Inoue. Naoya Inoue is one of my favorite fighters. Okay, he's grown on me obviously over the last 4 or 5 years. I'm a big fan of his. September 3rd, he's gonna come back. Okay, against TJ Doheny. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry, but he's gonna be fighting an opponent that Sam Goodman already beat, by the way. So I believe that was an undercard of a Tszyu fight last year. So why not just do the Sam Goodman fight? Now I understand there might be some politics I don't know about or something. I don't know. Right, and you couldn't even make an argument that Inoue's been on such a run and he's active, so he's he deserves this gimme, whatever, right? I just got to be honest, the fight's kind of mid. I'm not really excited for the fight. The market itself isn't either because he's not back in the Tokyo Dome, right? He's going to go back to Little Arena now, right? So obviously he's going to stay active, and I do think he'll fight the fights, but I just think there was better options. This is just too easy. I just think Inoue is just way too good for this dude. Like, it's too easy of a fight. It's my opinion. I'm underwhelmed by this fight. But what you make of the announcement, Dave? Dave, talk to us.
Oh, first thought is a stay busy fight. Just a stay busy fight. He's staying active. The really, I mean, you mentioned why not fight Goodman, but I also think that he was avoiding MJ prematurely. I think that's the best fight for him at 122. He's saying that he's not ready to move up the featherweight, that his body's not, ready to make him jump another weight class. So I'd like to see him fight MJ after this one.
Okay. Calix, what you make of the fight?
Doheny's number 7 contender in the weight class. I'm fine with it, especially being that he's going to fight again in December. And he's going to fight, allegedly, apparently the number 4 guy in the division, in Sam Goodman in December. That's the word anyway. And then he's going to get to Akhmadaliev, who is currently number 3. And he's already fought 1, 2, and 5. So it's just this one of these things that this is normal operating procedure from the generation that we came up in the boxing world. Is not all of them are going to be great fights, but 1, they're not on pay-per-view. 2, the guy's fighting active. He's fought 4 fights in 13-month period. He's going to fight 3 times this year. Some of his peers only fighting once. So they don't all have to be home runs. You want to see the guy fight. It's almost as if the fighters who are active in handling business are having that activity used against them, right? Because they're treating it as if every fight is equal. Every fighter is equal, and that's not the case. I threw out the scenario earlier where Canelo fights 6 times in the same span. Errol Spence fights twice. Errol Spence gets away with it. Canelo, they expect him all 6 fights to be heavy hitters, and that's just the world we live in. Activity is being used against the active fighters, unfortunately, and it's going to be the case for Inoue here from some people. But guess what? I'm going to enjoy the fight. I'm going to enjoy Inoue every time he fights. And when you do things quickly, when you clean out 122 in that quick of a fashion, people expect you to move up to 126 right away. That's where we are. But he has the right to stay at 122. And the big fight down the line is him versus Junto that eventually will happen at 122. I'm fine with him staying at 122 and continue to handle business against top 10 guys in the meantime, especially when he's not charging me pay-per-views like the other top fighters in the sport.
Right. Okay. Base, what do you think of this fight? And do you agree with what's being said here?
Personally, I think it's a shit fight, but I do agree with Calix that if anyone's got the right to have a gimme, it's it's Inoue. I mean, look, I don't think he's gonna necessarily have it all his own way, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it ends in the first round. Doheny was something a few years back, but now he's just maybe he's a name. He's probably the Japan's version of Derek Chisora. So yeah, it's gonna be game. It's gonna be free to air for you guys. We'll get it the day after on YouTube, or maybe we'll get the Sky feed come through, depending on how they do it. Yeah, but he does need to fight Akhmadaliev before he leaves, because giving up that belt, it just runs a narrative that you don't really need attached to your name, especially when you've got idiot people talking about you fighting Tank. When you started at minimum, sort of light fly, and ultimately now they want you up at lightweight. So yeah, have your gimme. Fight Akhmadaliev, then go to featherweight and finish up there, and do whatever you're doing after that.
Right. Jabib, this fight, does it matter what he does next? How you're judging this fight?
We talked about this before, and I think at 122, it doesn't matter who he fights. I think he's going to beat them all, right? But this is probably not a great fight in comparison to other opponents out there. But again, how much better would those other opponents do? Now, Akhmadaliev, that's a good fight. I mean, at least he'll maybe press Inoue, and he could make it interesting. But there's a lot of times when I've looked at Inoue fights on before they were started, leading up to the build-up, and I would say this is going to be an interesting fight, and it really maybe the Neri fight was interesting for 1 second, but after that, it wasn't interesting anymore, right? So, yeah, I'm not crazy about this fight, and I concur with the rest of the panel. That is a stay busy fight, but hopefully Akhmadaliev is next. I think that's the best possible opponent next at 122.
Okay, Crystal, what you think of this fight, and if anything, what do you want to see next from Inoue?
I have to agree with everyone on the panel. This is a stay busy fight. I don't know what else we can say about this. The lad is fighting, right? So we have to be excited that he's getting in the ring. And like Mr. Kalik say, they're not charging us a pay-per-view to watch it. So sit back and enjoy the ride while it lasts, right?
Okay, may not be a very long ride. Lyndon, to go something different with you. If you were to put it in a percentage, right? Because I think we all agree Inoue's going to win this fight. But if he were to fight Sam Goodman later this year, what percentage do you give Sam Goodman to win that fight?
Whoa. Look, I'm being completely honest. I don't give him much chance at all. It is being reported here a lot that at the moment that Goodman will be next, probably in December. I know these other opponents may be being announced, but I know he's got the injured hand, by the way. But look, yeah, I've got to support our Aussie fighter, but I just think personally, I think it's got 2 or 3 rounds written all over that fight. I haven't really got a problem with this fight, I will say. TJ Doheny actually got a link to Australia as well. He's been based here and he's fought here. He fought Sam Goodman here in Australia last year. But look, I don't think it's a great fight. I'm not looking forward to sitting down and watching it. I think it'll be an absolute blowout. And this one's probably got 1 or 2 rounds written all over it. But I think, like the other panel members have said, I've got no issue at all with Inoue having a stay busy fight. I think he's earned it. I think these days we just get so caught up in our elite fighters having to fight the best fighters every single time. And Inoue is not one of those fighters that fights once a year. You know, he fights 2, sometimes 3 times a year. So I think we can cut him a break. This is not like a Boot Tennis or someone that fights, or Tank Davis fights once a year. And, you know, so I think we've got to be a bit harder than those guys. But in a way, I think, as I said, I think he's 100% earned it. I'm not really looking forward to probably the Goodman fight either. I'd probably like him to fight MJ first. But I will say I'd like him to stay at 122. And that's purely and solely because I want Nakatani to come up and those guys to fight at some stage. I know there's not a lot for him at 122, and 126 probably has more appeal to go up and win another belt or belts. But I want him to stay at 122 so we get that Nakatani fight down the track. I think it's one of the biggest fights in boxing. Can't believe we're saying that about, you know, an all-Japanese fight. But for me, it's probably in the top sort of 3 or 4 fights I can't wait to see. So no dramas with this fight. Get the Goodman one out of the way, and then hopefully we get Nakatani down the track.
The Nakatani fight's a damn good fight. But we all know Nakatani going to really do it, though, like, unfortunately. But
still want to see it, though.
But maybe we'll see it. We'll see. But in all seriousness, I think that's a great fight. Now, news came out. Speaking of Australia, No Limit put out a press release. They didn't give us an opponent or nothing. I guess you're going to do it in phases, right? But just to let us know that Tszyu will be back 22nd of September, I believe. And it'll be in Australia with a venue and opponent to be announced soon, right? So I guess they're going to do it all in phases here. But I've heard Ramos, I've heard Lubin, I've heard different opponents. But let's start with you, Dave. First of all, Tszyu's back. Are you excited? And who would you personally like to see him face in Australia?
I'm very excited about the news, and I apologize, guys. I'm not sure why if you guys are hearing some static coming out of my mic. I'll try to fix that next time. You're not?
I'm not anyway.
Okay. Yeah. When I saw the announcement yesterday, I was in your show wondering if you had heard any inside information if it was going to be Jesus Ramos. Obviously, that would be epic because we interviewed him together recently, asking if he was interested in those big type of fights. But I don't think Jesus is ready for that fight. And there's a couple things that are very concerning. First of all, you talked about digging deep. Erickson Lubin, although he's come up, he did not win that fight, in my opinion, against Jesus Ramos. Jesus Ramos was penalized by the judges right here in Las Vegas. They didn't like that take it easy approach at the end of the fight, right? He was penalized for that. I think he rightfully still should have won on the scorecards. Erickson Lubin has been knocked out in his career. His face has been rearranged by the towering Inferno. He's had to dig deep numerous times in his career, while Jesus Ramos, because of his slick talent and his boxing IQ and his boxing ability and the fact that he's a southpaw, he's gotten away with a lot of stuff. And to go into the backyard of Tszyu and to expect to get the nod and maybe outbox Tszyu, that's not going to happen. Tszyu is dog. He's proved that. And I haven't seen, as much as I love Jesus Ramos, we've been rocking with him, I haven't seen him dig deep enough to be in that caliber of a fight, which is why if you told me, hey, Jesus Ramos, you won the fight, you got the nod against Lubin, you get to fight him in Las Vegas in March, the fight that you went to, D-Style, I'd have said, go for it. Of course, it's a title opportunity. It was a title shot, right? Would have been a title shot in Las Vegas, kind of neutral grounds. But to go into his backyard and expect to outbox him and get rewarded in front of a massive Australian stadium crowd, nah, that ain't going to happen. I probably would prefer to see Lubin. But here's the thing with Lubin. From what I understand, Lubin has turned down big fights like this before. So it's going to be very interesting in the next week or so what actually comes out if they come to an agreement. I believe it's been ordered by the sanctioning body, but will he agree to fight him in his backyard? So we could very well see Jesus Ramos in that position. So I'm eagerly awaiting the news as it unfolds.
Crystal, so after his ugly gash and losing to Pandora, he'll be returning to Australia. Who would you like to see him face?
first of all, if anyone get the opportunity to go over there to watch him, take it. It's a beautiful country. I just get back from over there. You know, my first thought was Jesus Ramos. I was expecting that to come out actually already. So I expect it to be Ramos, and if it's not, I will be surprised. But I think that would be a good test for Ramos. I think I would like to say that Ramos learned something from the judges in Las Vegas. Thank you to them for that fight, right? And I agree with Mr. Dave that Lubin is definitely not. I don't think I would wish Lubin to fight him. Lubin, what they say, they have a dog in him or something. He do, right? He like to dig for it, but he make a mess of himself in the process. Why put yourself through that again, right? Leave it to Jesus Ramos. He does have the ability to box, and he make it look pretty. But let's see if he have it in him now. Now that he learned a little something from the judges, don't leave it to the judges, right? Because we know in Australia that perhaps can go the wrong way. That has been noted on numerous occasions. So
That's a bit harsh.
well, it's true, you know.
It's probably true.
Yeah. But I would love to see Jesus Ramos against Tszyu, and I'm thrilled to see Tszyu back. I'm wondering how this will affect his next fight. Will he come in with that dog per se in him, or will he have back off a little bit because he don't want an injury like this to reoccur? I don't know.
Okay. Lyndon, I'm sure you're excited. It'll be in your home country. And who would you like to see him face?
Yeah, I think there's not much faith in the Aussie judges out there over there by the sounds of things, but no, it's probably right. But yeah, they did the press conference yesterday. It was actually announced that there was a big fight announcement, and it was just Tim saying he was back September 22nd here in Australia, which will be the 21st over there. So it'll be lunchtime or whatever it is here to make you Americans happy over there in prime time. But yeah, I think Erickson Lubin is the opponent they want to fight. I think they obviously dangled the carrot out to him yesterday. Tim had a little bit, and it's not really Tim's style, by the way, to maybe taunt someone, if you can call it that. He did put it out to Lubin yesterday. He wants that fight, and I think what it is to make sense that they're obviously, I think, the 3 and 4 ranked IBF challengers. Tim wants that fight to obviously get the mandatory against what is it? Base, you always help me out with this. Is it Mikhail Murtazaliev? Not real good with these Russian names.
Murtazaliev.
There you go. But I think that's the fight they want. But I think the next contender after that might be Josh Kelly, who's obviously got a fight coming up, and then it might be Ramos after that. So I think if it's not Lubin, who I think has not really been very keen on coming to Australia, he wants to fight over there. So that might count him out. But if not, then hopefully Ramos is next. But I think the one thing I love about Tim, and we all love about Tim, is that he doesn't care who it is. He just wants to get back in there ASAP. He doesn't care what opponent they throw at him. He's just been itching to get back in. He wants to fight again by the end of the year, which is unheard of these days. So it's pretty hard not to respect the guy. But I just, like everyone, happy to see him back. And I don't think it matters who it is. I think Tim will make a statement and put himself right back into that 154-pound elite part of the division.
All right. Calix, what you make of the announcement and rumors that it might be Lubin?
I like it. Unfortunately, man, oh man, I was hoping for that Tszyu Virgil fight to come off on August 3rd. That was, golly, that was a good fight. And hopefully we still get it next, because it's all lining up to where that's possible. I like either one of those fights. I do. Stylistically, it's going to be fun either way, whether it be Lubin or Ramos. You could argue Ramos beat Lubin. Either way, they're 5 or 6 in the division, somewhere in the middle of the top 10. And those are the type of fighters, if the trend continues, that Tszyu damages. You know what I mean? He stopped Harrison. He stopped Mendoza. Those are the type of guys he damages. The question now is, what does he do at the top level? All right. And the division is lining up to where there's going to be possibilities. The Bud Madrimov winner will be there. Even a loser, possibly, if it's a good fight. Virgil versus Bohacik. That's another one right there. And then if Virgil Ortiz does look good at 154, you can go right back to that. You can go right back to it. Belt or no belt. I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. These are all good fights. Winners, losers, as long as they're fighting each other. And Tim Tszyu is going to have a lot of opportunities to prove himself at the top.
Bohachik. Like the guys catch that, and I was like, man, like, you went to like school for that. You know what I mean? There you go. All right. Base. So he's back. He'll be back home in Australia for this fight. Who would you like to see him fight?
I think they should try and reschedule the Virgil fight. I mean, both guys are, coming off of, even though obviously Virgil's been in the ring, but he's had less than 3 minutes action in the last 2.5 years. So there'll be on a similar playing field. I'd quite like to see that fight. If not that fight, I don't really mind if it's a comeback leading to another a ranking fight or another bigger fight. Yeah, the Virgil Boachuk winner sounds good to me. Abel Ramos sounds good. I even wouldn't mind if they get one of the 147s. That's a bit too. Maybe it's a bit too big for 147 to come back to. I don't have any doubts on Tim Tszyu, on his heart, his work rate, his effort, his ability, and his willingness to take fights. So quite frankly, I know that whatever he gets put into, whether he wants that fight or not, he's going to go and he's going to handle business and he's going to demand the biggest fights afterwards. So he can do and he can fight whoever he wants. He's one of the few that I give grace for that at this point in time.
Right. Jabib, back in Australia, who would you like to see him fight?
Well, I do think the winner of Ortiz Bohachik is still on the table for him down the road. So maybe they want to have a softer touch for this comeback fight because he's coming off the injury as well too. But long term, I would like to see him fight the winner of Virgil versus Bohachik, and I'm curious to see how Virgil is going to look against a guy like Bohachik, because if he's impressive in that fight, then I'm sure that will just make the Tim Tszyu fight that much bigger. Obviously, Ramos does need to get back in the picture, right? So if he was to fight Tszyu and if he was able to get a victory over Tszyu, that puts him right back in title contention, right? So this 154-pound division is really electric right now, and it's one of the best divisions in boxing because all of the 147-pounders of note moved up to 154, and they really enhanced this division. And then you still have, guys like Tim Tszyu, and you got guys like Fondora who are always there, and Ramos. So you had a lot of up-and-coming potential superstars, and then you bring the other guys from 147 up, and that's just a recipe for a great lineup of fights down the road. So I'm excited, for this division moving forward, and I'd like to see Tim Tszyu fight a Ramos down the road or an Ortiz before he fights for a title again.
All right. Okay. Look, me, I actually do like the Ramos fight. I think Ramos is a dangerous opponent. I feel he won the fight, but he kind of gave away that fight against Lubin. It just wasn't a good. He laid an egg in that fight. There's no way around it. It was a big opportunity. I mean, when David and I interviewed him, he was talking about how he wants to be the torchbearer for Mexican boxing after Canelo. Why you didn't present your case, like that's for sure. But I do think that Ramos has the power and boxing ability to give anybody a 154 problems if he brings it, right? So like we saw how he just dominated Mendoza in their fight, like without a problem. So he has the ability. I would favor Tim Tszyu in that fight, but I just think it's a better fight than the Lubin fight. And as for Lubin, you don't want to go to Australia. Like what? Who? Too bad. Like, what do you mean? Then don't go then. We'll see another fight. Like, no one's flocking and demanding. Like, there's no demand for Erickson Lubin in the boxing market where like he has some form of say. Dude's from Florida. I guarantee you, Tim Tszyu could fight in Florida, and more people will show up to watch him than you. All right. So it ain't like you don't got a choice, brother. All right. You want you keep talking about you want the smoke. You want to fight everybody. You make your trip. to Sydney or Melbourne, wherever the fight is, you make your little trip and you go do that fight. If not, I don't want to see Erickson Lubin cry that they wanted to take him to Australia. Okay, I'm sorry, you can't even get 100 dudes to watch your fights, but you're gonna be making like dictating terms here. This shit's insane to me. Okay, and if he comes out and says, "No, I earned my shot. My next fight has to be for a title," then good luck. Good luck waiting for a title shot, dude. Right? Because you haven't fought since last year, right? After that win over Ramos, so many don't even feel you won. Right, so it is what it is to me. I have no sympathy for fighters that don't seize a moment and don't take advantage of an opportunity like this. I just don't have any pity for them. I'm sorry. All right, raise your hand if you're going to miss Lubin if he doesn't fight again in a panel. Like it is what it is, bro. Like so whatever. Right? Calix will miss him a little bit. Okay, but let's proceed. Dave, before you go. Canelo Eubank in the UK, big crowd. Are you all in on that? Does that excite you? Are you excited about that possibility?
I mean, it excites me as a fan of Mexican boxing and his legacy that it's important for him to go over there and be part of the great UK audience, 60, 70, 80,000. He's done it here in Texas. He did it here in Texas, but to go across this and get the appreciation from an international fan base like that. And again, somebody who, is one of their biggest stars in Eubanks, and his father was a big star. I'm all right with that fight. Obviously, his decision is being impacted by what Dana White and the UFC is doing here in Las Vegas. I don't want to see Canelo give up Mexican Independence Day. So actually going over to the UK and fighting at maybe on the West Coast here in California, West Coast, maybe at 1 o'clock, 2 p.m., that wouldn't even interfere with what the sphere and the whole Dana White Mexican, whatever thing he's trying to throw. He could still keep the date, fight on the date, and have record crowd. But for him to think that he's going to come here to Las Vegas and fight Edgar Berlanga and actually sell tickets, 18,000, bro, that ain't going to happen. So I'm actually prefer the Eubanks fight. And I appreciate being on the great panel tonight. Everybody take care and have a blessed night. Thanks, everybody.
For sure. So let's go ahead and touch here, guys, on the fight. So first of all, Beeb, talk to us. Eubank, Canelo. I understand it's not what you want, but would that be acceptable to you if you were to do that fight in the UK, maybe, or even here in Vegas? What do you think?
I just don't think it's going to happen, man.
What's going to happen?
David, they're already talking. It's almost done, man. It's close. It's going to be in November, man. It's almost done, man.
David Benavidez, Canelo in November?
Yeah. I don't even want to think of this Eubank fight because I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's all smoke and mirrors, to be honest with you.
It's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was created in the shadow realm.
All right. Okay. Calix, Canelo, Eubank, is there any way that could be something that works for you? And do you still have faith, like Beeb, that the David fight's going to happen this year?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I already threw out my terms to where that's acceptable. There's only 3 terms to where that's acceptable to me. And if you have to barnstorm for it, so you got to put it in the right spot. So you throw out a scenario in which he goes to the UK to fight the fight. I love that. But it also has to be a tune-up. Like, he has to make it clear that it's a tune-up. All right, I don't want to hear that we can't look past Eubank. You got to make it clear that something's coming right behind it. And you also have to put it on the subscription. It can't be a pay-per-view. So if what I'm hearing is correct, because I haven't heard anything about him going to the UK. I wish he would. I would love that. But if this is what I'm hearing is true, that he's going to fight Berlanga or Eubank Jr. in Vegas and put it on pay-per-view, I'm out. I'm out. That's done. That's the first time I've said that for Canelo.
Berlanga's like Eddie Hearn said. Berlanga fights Puerto Rico versus Mexico. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what Eddie Hearn said.
I'm out. It's a tune-up. So they can dress it however they want. It's a tune-up. So you can't put a tune-up on pay-per-view. You gotta do. Remember Oscar? I've talked about this in between Mayweather Pacquiao. He fights Stevie 2-pound Forbes. in Carson, California. And he says, I'm giving back to the fans. It's $5 to get in, $10 to get in. It's regular HBO subscription. I'm gonna give back to the fans, and that's acceptable. And it's done on the right. It's done the right way. As long as Eubank Jr. or Berlanga's done the right way, it's acceptable. But if it's not done that way, how I just said, if it's on a pay-per-view, no, we're done. We're done here. It's out. We're done. So that's just where I'm at.
Hey, Crystal, do you know if Eubank's still working with Bomac?
Good question. I'm not 100% sure.
So
I
like,
do not know.
imagine like he's in Eubank's corner against Canelo. So he gets to study a lot of Canelo. He gets to have a fight with somebody with Canelo, and then that could be a setup for a Crawford fight, right? You think that's possible?
Would be spectacular. That would be spectacular. I would love to see that happen, but I don't see that happening. I don't know if Joe is on November 2022 when everyone say that Crawford was fighting Spence, or what is happening here with the Canelo Benavidez, because that is news to me. Like, if that happened, I would be so excited.
You gotta block off that month, Crystal. You gotta block off that month. You gotta cancel all your trips.
Yeah.
Right?
Does a Canelo fight with Eubank do anything for you, Crystal? Like, is that something that would interest you at all?
Only if he is training with Bomac, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
If Eubank is training with Bomac, he will perhaps get some insight that he need to have any competitive to provide, I shall say, any competitiveness to this fight with Canelo. Chris Eubank, unfortunately, the thing that's carrying him at this point is his father and his father name, right? We're not seeing anything too significant from Chris Eubank Jr. at this point. I like the lad. I enjoy him while he was in the ring. But at this point, I would much rather see a Benavidez versus Canelo. This is the fight that shall make for this year. And then let's talk a Canelo Crawford next year. And let the lads ride to the sunset. That's what they want to do.
Okay. All right. Lyndon, out there, down under, there's a Canelo Eubank fight, whether it's in Vegas, whether it's in UK. Does it do anything for you?
No, the fight itself does absolutely nothing for me. I was surprised when Eubank's name was sort of thrown out there. It's sort of only recently they've sort of mentioned. It's always obviously been Benavidez, Morrell, whoever, Crawford, whatever. But the fight itself doesn't. But I will say they do it in the UK. I think it's a very, very smart move by Canelo. He's always wanted to fight over there. I think it makes a lot of sense for him to do it. I mean, I'm not that happy that he's not going to fight in Vegas that weekend, so I'm actually going to be there. So I'm not overly happy. I think I'll be at the UFC the way we're going. But no, it does make sense. If it's not one of those, if it's not someone like a Benavidez, well, it doesn't make sense for Canelo to fight that night in Vegas up against the UFC. Look, the only issue I've got with the Eubank fight, I can just see a repeat of the Jamel Charlo fight, where Eubank talks a big fight, goes through the motions, survives 12 rounds. It's a boring fight, gets well paid. That's if he doesn't price himself out of it in the first place, by the way. But yeah, look, the fight itself, I don't think it'll be exciting at all. I think Canelo just does what he wants to do against Eubank Jr., who's there for a payday. But I'm sure the 40, 50, 60,000 people over there will enjoy it. But it doesn't make sense to do it in the States, I wouldn't have thought. But I'm hoping Beebs is right and we get the Benavidez fight in November. Maybe they just can all these ridiculous fights in the meantime, and Canelo sits out, takes a break, and fights in November against Benavidez. It makes a lot more sense.
Base, hypothetically, if Canelo fights in the UK against Eubank, how big would that fight be in the UK?
Relatively big. I mean, they could do a stadium if they pick the right one. It's not a Wembley stadium. It's not a Wembley. It's not a Olympic stadium. I don't think it's a Tottenham Hotspur stadium or the Emirates. But maybe one of the smaller venues.
O2 base, O2.
No, it will do. It can get into a stadium. It just has to be one of the smaller ones. O2, it will pack out the O2. I think they'd want to go a little bit bigger if they could. Look, if the fight's over here, then fine, because you know, that is, you know, Canelo's always said that he does want to come to the UK and fight, and he's got other places on his bucket list to travel to as well. So from that perspective, fine. I think there's better 160/168 guys you could go after. I mean, heck, depending on when the fight is, because remember, he's fought in December before. If he could wait to December, maybe for old time's sake, have a, you know, run it back with Liam Smith, because at least there's a bit of history and intrigue in that one. Whereas the Eubank fight, everyone already thinks is a foregone conclusion. So, yeah, it's not really my. It wouldn't have been my choice out of the three names I heard about a month and a half ago. But yeah, that fight only makes sense in the UK, and as you guys have said, it can't be pay-per-view, even though Chris Eubank Jr. will demand his pay-per-view everywhere, because he's gonna believe I'm a draw just as much as he is. So like, pay me like it. But yeah, but it's, you know, Canelo does what he wants to do at this point, and until someone decides that he's no longer able to, he's going to keep doing it. So yeah, it's fine as long as it's over here. That's the only caveat, and it has to be reasonably priced for us, and I'm hoping either free for you guys or heavily reduced.
Yeah, in a perfect world, y'all are right, and we would get it for free, and it would call it a tune-up, but we know they're going to charge pay-per-view. It's going to be on pay-per-view in the US. It's going to be on pay-per-view in the UK. Even Australia's going to have it on pay-per-view. Everyone's going to have it on pay-per-view. That's the way it's going to be, right? And I actually, if they do it in the UK, I actually don't mind the fight. In the UK, I'm fine with it. I would be interested to see how the atmosphere is and all that. Obviously, I don't want it over a Benavidez fight, you know, but it's better than Berlanga. I'll say that. All right, but we'll see what happens with that. All right, look, every year on the round table we do this, and the time has come. All right, and this is the 2024 8 divisions. Who would be the champion if we had one belt and only the original 8 weight classes? All right, we're going to start with probably the most obvious one of them all, which is heavyweight. I think we will all agree, I believe anyway, that the current undisputed champion, but maybe somebody feels differently. Calix, only 8 divisions, heavyweight champion of the world would be who?
Alexander Usyk, easy one.
Easy one, okay. Joe, I know it's going to hurt you, but you still got to answer it though.
Gotta say Usyk. I mean, Fury's my cousin, but you gotta go with the reality of life, man. Usyk.
I mean, he's not really your cousin, but
that's a lie. That's a lie. Don't.
You know what I mean? We're over here like making up lies that he's your cousin.
My cousin, man.
You know, but okay.
Want me to show you the 23andMe?
Hey, Base, I want you to look over at Beeb and tell him who would be the heavyweight champion of the world. There was only one belt.
Usyk.
Easy.
Usyk.
I think everybody agrees with that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that rematch, and maybe the answer will be different next year. We'll see. All right. What am I talking about? Light heavyweight. One belt. There's only one belt. Okay, so that means all the super middleweights, maybe some smaller cruiserweights or something. Let's get Crystal on here. Crystal.
Yes.
I know you fell off. Well, we're doing the who would be the champion in each weight class, and we had the original 8.
Okay.
Who would be the heavyweight champion of the world today?
Usyk.
No, for sure. There we go.
Yeah.
Calix, who's the light heavyweight champion of the world today? Right now, we only had 8 weight classes.
I hate to say it because I can't stand the guy, Dimitri Bivol. I think he beats everybody 175 down to
you don't like
160. I can't stand it, dude.
What's wrong with
but
Bivol?
he's great. He's great. I think he's gonna
Just the
outbox.
way he looks. Like, or
I
what do you
think
mean?
no, just he's boring and he's got the terrible personality and he goes on long layouts. But
Well,
yeah,
domestic violence. Remember that?
I think domestic.
Unfounded.
But
That's a bit.
I'm gonna say this, fellas, take it to the bank. He's gonna box circles around Better Beef. I'm just telling you. Just telling
It's
you.
not gonna happen, Calix. It's not gonna happen. Stop.
All right, Beeb. Well, you tell us, Beeb, who would be the light heavyweight champion of the world today? Only one weight class.
Better Beef. Come on.
Or one belt, I should say.
That guy's a monster, man.
Better Beef will be the light heavyweight champion of the world, huh?
100%, man.
I mean, the dude can't even make it to a fight. But
He'd be too hurt. He'd be too hurt. He's too fragile.
He hits so hard that he breaks his bones along with the target, man. You show the guy some respect, goddammit.
Well, let's hear from Base. Who would be the light heavyweight champion of the world today?
Yeah, no, I'd have to go with Bivol. I would have said Better Be before, but too inactive, too injury prone. He's obviously well past his peak, even though he's still an elite level athlete. But yeah, Bivol's still on the ascendancy, and he looks like he's back to being in better forms of activity. So yeah.
Beeb's just picking Better Beeb. It sounds like Better Beeb. That's the only reason he's picking him. You know what I mean? But
That's blasphemous. That's blasphemous.
Crystal, who would be the light heavyweight champion of the world today? One belt, only 8 divisions.
I have Bivol as well. Yeah.
Bivol, okay. Lyndon?
Well, it's a tough one. Maybe right here and now, you'd have to say Bivol. Maybe a couple of years ago, it might have been a more contentious issue, but I think Bivol.
I agree. I think Bivol. So nobody thinks Benavidez, Canelo's in the mix. You know what I mean? Well, Bivol already beat Canelo, but the Mexican Monster. Nobody's gonna pick the Mexican Monster.
No, he ain't staying at 175. He's getting back to 168.
Got a fight in November at 168 with Canelo, man. I mean,
Well, keep in mind. There's only 8 weight classes. So
He's an average fighter when he can't drain himself. D-style.
Okay. All right. Okay.
El Bandera Roja.
We're gonna bounce it the opposite way. Lyndon, who would be the middleweight champion of the world today if there was only 8 weight classes?
I think Canelo Alvarez would be the 160-pound champion. I think he only fights at 168 these days because at this stage of his career, it's very easy for him to make the weight. But I think if need be, he could make 160, and he is the man at 160. If that was the case.
Crystal, middleweight champion.
Well, I think if we are looking at today, I have to agree it's Canelo. That's why I've written it down on my paper as Canelo. But yeah, today it will be Canelo.
All right. Base, who would be the middleweight champion of the world today with only 8 weight classes?
Crawford.
Okay. All right. Terence Crawford. All right. Joe Beeb, middleweight champion today. Who would it be?
We're gonna have to go with Canelo.
All right. Calix?
Crawford. Reason being is I'm not so sure. We're talking about currently, so I'm not so sure Canelo can make 160 comfortably. I just, that's 8 pounds. It's a lot of weight. That's a lot of percentage of weight going down. I don't think he'd be the same there. So that's why I picked Crawford. I think Crawford could comfortably come up to 160 and be fine. I don't think Canelo could go down to 160 at this point and be the same fighter.
Okay. Hey. I'm going to say Canelo. I get that point, but I do believe he's a small 168 pounder. Like I think Canelo can make 160 easier than Benavidez makes 168. I'll put it that way.
I would agree with that. I would agree.
So I think Canelo makes 160 easier than a lot of guys make weight. Like Boots is finding a way to make 147. He's a big dude. Like, you know what I mean? So I would say Canelo personally. Okay. All right. Let's go back to Calix here. Who would be the welterweight champion of the world today?
Boots. I'll take Boots. I don't think welterweight's strong, and I don't know if any of these guys from 140 could come up and beat Boots, so I'll take Boots.
Joe Beeb?
I'm gonna say Boots too, but can I add something?
Sure.
When we do this next year, right? Tell me if this is a good idea. I don't like to do production schemes during live telecast, but do you think that we should add it? What if there was same day weigh-ins along with these weight classes?
That would make it very interesting.
You like that touch there? You like the Beebs touch there? Little ad lib there, little ad lib.
Usyk would still be the heavyweight champion, but yeah.
We got a rematch. We got a rematch in December, so next year we can have a different conversation when my cousin wins the title back.
Mexican, that would really make it old school, but I agree. Okay. Base, who would be the welterweight champion of the world today?
Yeah, Boots. There's no one else really. There's no one at 140 that's big enough to beat him because he's already moving like he's a 160 guy. Yeah, not a strong enough division. He'll clean it out as long as he can make the weight.
Okay. You don't think Crawford can make weight?
If we all heard the horror stories of what he had to do to get down to 147 for the Spence fight, he can't make that weight again.
Okay. Crystal, welterweight champion of the world today.
As of today, I have Bud Crawford. As of today, right? He have not fight at 150 or anything above that. So today, I say it's Bud Crawford still in the welterweight division, 147.
Right. He has not stepped in the ring at 154 yet, so technically he's still a welterweight.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Lyndon?
Yeah, 100% agree with Crystal. Bud Crawford, he hasn't fought at 154, let alone 160. So you're talking about right here and now, not in 6 months' time or a year's time. It's Bud Crawford. Obviously, Boots Ennis is the heir apparent, but right here and now, it's Bud Crawford.
Okay. All right. Let's bounce it back here. Gets a little interesting, actually. Who would be the lightweight champion of the world? Let's start with you, Lyndon.
Geez, I knew you'd say that. This is probably the toughest one of all. I'm going to go with Tank Davis. I know that's probably not going to be the more popular response, but I think I'm going to go with Tank. I don't really know the exact reason why. Just call it gut feel. It's Loma or it's Tank Davis. I think you can put a line through Shakur Stevenson, Bolchuk, or Bolchek, or whatever it is. But look, we have to make a call. I'm going for Tank Davis.
Okay. Crystal?
Interesting, because I have I have written down on my paper Shakur, and then I have Tank Davis. You know, it's a difference between a boxer and a puncher. You know, and I circle the Tank and I draw a line to the Shakur. So I'm in agreement with you. I have Tank Davis, actually.
Tank Davis, okay. Base?
As of right now, it's Shakur. I think he's got the style. He's all wrong for Tank and pretty much everyone else. Yes, he doesn't have the punch power, but he also won't particularly need it if he just has to win rounds, which is something he knows how to do. But 6 months from now, I'd be talking Andy Cruz's name.
Oh man, okay. Joe Beeb, who would be the lightweight champion of the world today?
As much as it pains me to say it, that guy always finds a way to land that big punch, and when he does, it's lights out, man. That guy could knock down brick walls with that left hand. So I'm going to say
Ryan Garcia.
I'm going to say Tank Davis.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to say Tank Davis. As much as it hurts,
man. Calix, you don't even put him on your pound for pound list. You already 3 people say you would be the lightweight champion of the world. But if there was one weight class, one champion, who would be the lightweight champion of the world today?
Hold your nose, Calix, and say it.
Vasily the Matrix. Lomachenko. Lomachenko. Who, if this fight comes off, will beat Tank Davis. Will pull off the upset.
This fight's done, Calix.
I wanted badly to say my guy William Zepeda too.
I like
just
Zepeda.
couldn't do it.
I like Zepeda.
I'll still go with Loma.
I think Zepeda beat Shakur.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of things would be different if there was a structure of just one belt. A lot of things would be different. And I actually believe Shakur by now, because you got to keep in mind 130 doesn't exist, so he wouldn't have ever really campaigned at a 130 weight class. Shakur would have already been at lightweight for a while. As much as I don't like his style, as much as I call him boring and all that, I'm gonna have to say Shakur. I think Shakur Stevenson would be the lightweight champion of the world today.
No, come on.
It is what it is. Like, you know
What if
what I mean?
you implemented the activity rule like you were trying to propose? Would he still be?
Yeah, it's a good thing that there's no 18 by 18 rule. Like maybe we'll do that next year too. But as of right now, that's not the case. But I would have Shakur Stevenson as the lightweight champion of the world. Shout out to Nando with the super chat. Shakur does his ducking in the ring. Yeah, he'll be ducking those punches. You know what I mean? Like, but shout out to Nando. All right, Babe. Who would be the featherweight? That's 126 pounds for everybody out there. Who will be the featherweight champion of the world today? Doctor,
this is going to be a dark horse, and no one's going to say this, but
I'm
a little biased towards this guy because I like the way he fights. Nick Ball. No one's going to say that. No one's going to say it.
No, they're not.
He beat Ray Vargas, man. He beat Ray Vargas, I thought, and then he had a great. Raymond Ford, that was a great win over Raymond Ford, too. Great win.
I mean, it was an undeserved win, but yeah, fine.
I actually think you overlooked somebody like bad, but it's okay.
That was a matchroom fight at base. I could see it. I know why you're saying that.
If somebody says the name, I'm thinking,
Ray Ford won that fight pretty comfortably, in my opinion. I'm sorry, like he got jobbed on the
I'm a
cards.
professional judge, and I had that fight a draw.
Okay, base.
I was trained by Steve Weisfeld.
The featherweight champion of the world today, base.
No, funnily, as much as I've just said that, I would have actually said Nick Ball as well. Only because the only other person who you can put there is Inoue, and I just don't know if he's big enough. So, yeah, I've got Nick Ball as well out of everyone that's at 126 and below.
Base, you redeemed yourself, Base. You redeemed yourself.
Yes.
Who would be the featherweight champion of the world today, Calix? On 8 weight classes, featherweight.
The obvious pick, Naoya Inoue. The obvious pick. Look, the only person that I see like would be Rafael Espinoza is big. He's big, and he's actually what they say Benavidez is at 168. That's what Rafael Espinoza actually is at 126. Scary dude, big for the weight, but I still got to go with Inoue.
Excuse me. You don't think he would be if there was 8 weight classes? You don't think Inoue would still be at 118, Calix? He'd be at bantamweight. He's not. He's too small for 126.
He might be like Henry Armstrong for all you know. I don't know. We'll find out.
I think he'd be a bantamweight, Calix. That's why I'm saying Nick Ball.
Okay.
No, I'll go with Inoue. I have another pick. I already know
what he's doing.
I have another pick.
I almost thought I had him there. I'm going to be.
I have another pick for 118, so don't worry.
Okay. Linden, featherweight champion today.
Very slim pickings at 126, I think. I don't go with Inoue because he's never fought at 126. That's probably my reasoning there. And I agree. I think it was Beebs who said that I think if he was, it would be still at 118. I think if it was only the 8 divisions. I think he's small enough at 122, let alone at 126. So this is a really, really tough one. I think I'll go with Nick Ball. Look, you could probably throw 2 or 3, 4 people in the air, but I think Ball just.
About Nick Ball, man. I didn't realize people were going to pick Nick Ball, man. I'm surprised.
Well, you started the trend, I guess. I don't know what's going on. All right. Nick Ball beat a couple 20s here to pick him as the featherweight champion of the world. Speaking of Australian money here, $5 from MAW. Hello, boxing fans, roundtable and chat. Smash the like button, please, folks. I appreciate the support, brother.
I'm so happy you didn't do that. I'm so happy you didn't do the Australian accent, by the way. God, I'm so happy.
Australian $5 there too, by the way. It's about $3.
Yeah. YouTube gave him a strike for that, Calix. His accent was so bad, YouTube gave him a strike.
A friend told me to stop. But anyway, hey, Crystal, talk to us. Featherweight champion in the world today.
So today I have actually Inoue.
Thank you.
I agree.
Too small.
Inoue, first of all, who would pick Nick Ball to beat Inoue right now? If Inoue moved up to 126, who would pick Inoue?
Nobody.
I would currently.
Too big.
Until I see him able to do.
Big Ball's
I mean,
too
look,
big, man.
he's looked human
Big
at
Ball's too
122.
big.
So
He's a good friend of mine. I seen him, man. He's too big.
I've interviewed Nick Ball. He's a very wedge young block of a man, like, and he can take a punch.
He's thick, isn't he, Base, up close? He's thick.
Pause.
Anyway,
Base always gets me.
I got Naoya Inoue.
He's thick up close.
And if it's not if Inoue hadn't moved up, I got Vinal Lopez.
Right.
What's up with that? Like Vinal Lopez beats Nick Ball.
Can we edit that out?
Rafael Espinoza. Look, I love Nick Ball. Rafael Espinoza. He can't beat Rafael Espinoza.
Rafael would just put his glove on the top of like Nick Ball's head. Nick Ball ain't gonna hit him.
And nobody respects Raf. Like I thought until today that nobody respected Nick Ball more than me. But
you ever see those cartoons like when they hold
Rafael
like
couldn't deal with the inside game. He couldn't deal with the inside game of Nick Ball.
He's gonna hold him on the top of the head. He's got his little T-Rex arms. He ain't gonna reach
That
nothing.
guy's like a Tasmanian devil. You can't keep him still. He's like a Tasmanian devil. That guy.
But I got it in a way. That's what I got.
Thank you.
All right, but okay. Look, in fact, I think Fulton beats Nick Ball if he moves on.
Now you're getting out of control.
Come on.
All day. Fulton beats him all day. All day.
What did Nick Ball do to you, man? What's the matter? Did you ask for an autograph one day and he wouldn't give it to you? Come on.
All right, let's go back to let's bounce it back. Let's bounce it back to Crystal. Bantamweight, Crystal. Who would be the bantamweight champion of the world?
I struggle with this one a little bit, right? So, what I have written here is Nakatani.
Okay, Nakatani. Okay, Nakatani will be the bantamweight champion of the world. Lyndon.
In a way, for me, I think it would stay at 118 and still have the belts. And geez, with that Nakatani fight on the horizon, how good would that be? But I think if it was only the 8 divisions, in a way, would be still at 118.
Okay, fair enough. Calix, doctors.
Yeah, I picked Inoue at 126, so I'll go a different direction at 118. And I purposely picked Inoue at 126, so I go in this direction. Junto Nakatani, the future pound for pound king, is the bantamweight king. Future pound for pound king.
I know you got a Junto Nakatani.
Okay, fair enough. Base.
I mean, look, Nakatani is a very good choice, and that's who I was thinking. But I'm sorry, I'm going with Bam Rodriguez, 118 champ.
Good pick.
It's not bad. I can understand that. You can go to 118.
It's not bad. Like you just said, like you just picked like a little cute pick or something. Like I think it's a great pick.
It's a strong pick.
Let's not be hyperbolic. Let's not be hyperbolic here, please.
It's all right. Like it's an eye.
I never fought at 118. He never fought at 118, but I could see it happen, and I can see it happen. It's definitely
115 wouldn't exist.
I know.
But what you got though?
You can't make 112 again. So
what you got, B? Bantamweight.
Me? I'm gonna say Inoue.
Okay.
118.
Inoue would be the champ. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say he's the champ. I think Inoue will be the reigning bantamweight and featherweight champion of the world. You know, Armstrong did 3. Armstrong did 3 divisions. So what do you mean? So he would be a champ. I got a double champ. He'd be the champ at bantamweight and featherweight, and there's nothing any of those featherweights or bantamweights can do about it.
Well,
I hate that.
Floyd did have titles at 147 and 154 simultaneously, so you can, and so did Henry Armstrong. So technically, you can do that.
Now, if for whatever reason, like a commissioner named Joe Calix says, "No, you can't do that,"
He just doesn't want to give Junto any type of credit.
So I would have Bam. So it would be Bam then at 118.
Okay. All right.
I think Bam would be the bantamweight champion of the world.
Okay. All right.
Right. But Junto would be a close second. Yeah, he'd be like the number 1 contender or something. Yeah. All right. Let's go back to Beeb here. Flyweight. That's the last one.
I disagree with Base here because that Sonny Edwards fight wasn't too long ago at 112, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said he's struggling. He said he can't do it again.
Well,
he said it out of his own mouth.
one thing about life, Base. Sometimes we got to do things that are tough. Making weight's one of them, Base. You know, it's got to be honest. It's got to be honest with you. I think he can do it.
Okay, so you got Bam, all right. Base 112.
Kenshiro Taraji.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I like that one. Calix.
Oh man, this is tough. Because Bam, are we saying Bam can't make 112? Because if Bam can make 112, it's a
It's your
no-brainer.
list. If your
Alex,
list, you can make it, you can make it.
Alex, life is tough, man. It's full of challenges. I think he could do it.
If he could do it, I'd pick Bam. If he can't do it,
Don't let base sway you.
Because there are other guys that can make 112 from 115, possibly. But
That's from 108. You got to consider that.
Taraji, Oscar Collazo coming up from 105, possibly. But oh man, I'll go for the sake of discussion. Since I'll go with base and say Bam can't make 115. I'll go with Sonny Edwards at 112.
Okay, just doesn't want to credit. He doesn't want to like give Bam his flowers. Really, what it's about. But hey, Lyndon, who would be the flyweight champion of the world?
No, I agree with Bees. I think Bam Rodriguez would still be at 112. He only made it 6 or 7 months ago against Edwards. So, and I know he has said it's difficult for him. It's difficult for him to make, but it's not like he hasn't made it. So I'm going to say he's going to, like Beeb said, do something he doesn't want to do and dig in.
And then you made weight, right? It's never easy, was it? Was making weight ever easy? You were an Olympian. You were an Olympian and you did it.
You just got to do what you got to do. So
people don't know what you went through. People don't realize it.
You do it hard too.
But Bam Rodriguez would still be. I don't even want to hear the stories. I won't be able to sleep tonight.
112, Bam Rodriguez. There you go.
All right. Okay. Crystal, close us out. Flyweight.
I have it Bam the whole night.
Tough one. But I'm going to go with Bam. I think Bam makes sense.
Shout out for the Life is Tough crew.
He's going to hire Lyndon to help him out with the weight cut and everything. We're going to get it done. You know what I mean? Hey, I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Make sure you check out Boxing Deep Dive with Lyndon. Make sure you check out Crystal with In the Ring with Christine every Wednesday. Check out Basic Kid, the Hardcore Casual, here on YouTube, and follow him on Twitter and all that good stuff. Follow Calix Boxing, and of course, subscribe to his channel, Ringside Reporter, you haven't already, and follow me at D-Style Boxing on all platforms. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here. Peace.
Proud